Hey everybody, this is David Greenson. I'm one of the deputy state directors for North Carolina MoveOn's United Against Hate campaign. Super excited to just go over some of our Get Out the Vote operation that's coming up in just a little more than a week. So you out there listening to this now are the crucial piece of this puzzle. We need your energy and enthusiasm and expertise to make sure that we can win this election. Our training goals for this video are to share our strategic plan so that you can understand how this is similar but different to what we've been doing in the past. Go over the structure and just the way that the Get Out the Vote operation is going to function, the different roles, etc. Going to really emphasize how important it is that we have good numbers reporting during GOTV so we can all know what's going on all around. And then we'll get into some of the specific components of the operation in North Carolina. And I'll be telling you next steps at the end. So there are three phases to our whole enterprise. The first is something that we did back in August and September, which is to really encourage folks to commit to vote, to get out to vote for Hillary Clinton and Deborah Ross and other Democrats. So that phase has come to a close. And that, our target universe there was basically folks that we thought were good candidates to vote for our side, and we were reaching out to them, getting them to sign pledge cards. Maybe some of you have already done that. The second phase is one we're in right at the moment, which is to talk to people about early voting. The more we can get people out to early vote, the better. And then what we're going to talk about on this video is really the last of these phases, the turn out the vote, GOTV proper, which is the last 4 days that include election day. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That's what we're talking about today. And it's flashing again just because it's so important. Okay, here is a map with the various colorations of where we stand today. And you'll notice that we are a nice little pale color of blue. And it's very important that we do our work so that we make sure that that comes true, because the pathway for Donald Trump to become president goes right through North Carolina. If he can win North Carolina, he has a good chance, a decent chance at least, of winning the election. If he does not win North Carolina, his chances are very poor. We are in a really pivotal state, as you all know. So the key dates, some of which have already passed, but obviously early voting has already started. It ends on the 5th. We're this coming weekend doing a dry run to practice our Get Out the Vote operation, and then Get Out the Vote proper begins next Saturday, the 5th. And the reason that we are going so all in on a Get Out the Vote drive is that science has told us that it is by far the most effective way to increase turnout. So you can look at some of these increases, 3% increase for midterm voters, almost 4.5% increase for sporadic voters, and back in 2008, first-time voters almost close to a 5% turnout increase from door knocking, from talking to people face-to-face, and that's what we're going to be doing. So it's really just a continuation of stuff we've already been doing, but just at a bigger scale. So in this phase of the campaign, we're going to increase the scale. So whereas we've often had 5 or so canvases in your area on a weekend, we're going to have 10 a day is the plan for each day of Get Out the Vote. We're going to have more canvass leaders, more canvass launch areas, more reporting periods during the day. Everything just gets more and more. And there'll be more volunteers flooding in, sometimes from out of state. And our message is going to shift from not so much will you vote, but how you vote, and just helping people who we already believe are committed to vote make sure they actually do it. We're also going to distribute some different literature than we've been doing up till now. Our Get Out the Vote operation at MoveOn is very much a scaled operation that enables and empowers you as a MoveOn member to be right in the thick of it. That's how MoveOn always operates. Our role as staff is really to lift up you as a MoveOn member and make sure that you have all the tools you need to succeed. A lot of the preparation for this Get Out the Vote operation is going to be happening in the next week, so that by the time that it rolls around, we're going to hopefully all be ready. And we're encouraging folks, this is the last moment to really maximize this opportunity. Make sure we flip the Senate to the Democrats. Make sure that Hillary Clinton does in fact win. So really encouraging folks to volunteer to host multiple shifts at your home or at a local staging location. So a little bit about messaging and why we use certain messaging at GOTV. Who do we want to talk to and why? So if you look at this chart here, we've got one axis has whether a particular voter is for our person, not sure, or against our person, or our people in this case. And the other axis has whether they are very likely to vote, maybe going to vote, unlikely to vote. So take a second and just think about, who would you imagine we're going to be going after? And when I've done this with live folks, people often think, well, probably the undecideds. Maybe we want to go for the most likely voters. But surprisingly, the real answer is that, I went the wrong way. There we go. Our prime GOTV targets are actually the for our candidates and the maybes. And the reason is simple. If somebody is very likely to vote, then they actually don't need to be hearing from us a couple of different times that last weekend. If they're really unlikely to vote, no matter how many times we talk to them, it may not make that big a difference. So the people who are in the maybe category, who have voted in some of the recent elections, but not all, they're inconsistent voters, they are our prime targets. And of course, we only want to talk to folks at this point who we really think are likely to vote our way. If they're still undecided, God help them. Who knows what we might be able to say to them at this point. It's probably too late to have long conversations. And certainly we're not going to want to talk to anybody who is against our side at this point. So our messaging at the door is going to be really crucial. And I'm sure if you've gone canvassing before, we always have a script. I want to explain to you why some things are going to be in these new GOTV scripts and the science behind them. So you might wonder, is it better for us to emphasize an expectation of high turnout for the election or low turnout? Well, believe it or not, the answer actually is to emphasize high turnout. And the reason is, as near as the social scientists can tell, if people think that everybody's doing it, everybody's voting, then they're more likely to feel like, oh, I better get on that train. I better not be the one person in my neighborhood who didn't vote. So emphasizing a lot of turnout, especially emphasizing that the other side is planning to turn out, this is why we have to go turn out as well. Another question, do you think it would be better to emphasize our national scope or the fact that we are organized here locally on the ground? Well, the answer there is actually that we want to emphasize the local. Basically, I think it's a similar principle that knowing that people are mobilized and active on the local scale really motivates people because they want to be part of something that's with their neighbors and that's happening locally. Another couple things that are important are, you are the kind of person who votes. This is a bit of a subtle suggestion we're going to be making to folks at the door, reminding them that they are a voter. And what do voters do? They vote. So they should do what they are. Another piece is making plans with folks. You'll notice that there are logistical questions in the script. We want people to actually make a plan for when they're going to vote, because like anything, if you make a plan, you're much more likely to actually do it than if you don't have a plan. So we call this kind of advanced messaging identity labeling. You're the kind of person who votes. So this might be something in your script. Thank you for being a voter. Since you are the kind of person who votes and cares about the community, we want to remind you about the election on November 8th. It says the 2nd. I guess this is an old slide, but make sure folks are voting on the 8th. Plan making is also super important. Almost a 2% increase of folks actually getting to the polls if they make a plan versus they don't make a plan. So what is a plan? A plan is just as simple as, when are you planning to go vote? Are you thinking about going before work or maybe after work? Get the wheels turning in their head. The more they've thought about it, the less likely it's going to be the end of the day and oops, I didn't make a plan and now it's too late to go vote. almost 2%, like I said. So the messaging really matters. We want to be consistent in what we're saying at the door. Obviously, every script you should put into your own words, but that's why I went over those items, because they actually are there for a reason. Making a plan with folks is also super important, as we just went over. Everybody's doing it. It's the social pressure. It's basically, don't be one of the, be one of the cool kids. Make sure you're voting. You seem like a voter, similar message. And then if people have pledged to vote, and some of the folks we're going back to have signed pledge cards, reminding people that they have pledged also really has an impact. Some of the literature we're going to be doing is a little different than we've done before as well. So if you look at the image on the left, that's the pledge card we've been carrying around up till now. We're going to mail all those off early next week. We're going to have different literature on election day and the GOTV, which is more of a door knocker that's just informative at this point. It's too late to pledge. It's time to just do it. Okay, the plan. How we're going to activate the voter turnout machine. We're going to get into some of the mechanics now. So Canvas launch locations are called staging locations. Essentially, this is where we set the stage to get out there and canvas. It can be a home, it can be a business, it can be anything. Outdoor locations can be great as long as there is an indoor backup in case it's raining. So if you hear about staging locations, that's what they refer to. And then there are going to be multiple roles within each of the canvases. So everybody's going to report to a canvas organizer. That's the red square at the top. The canvas leaders, hopefully you, are folks who are making sure that a canvas happens in that area. They're going to be supported by the campaign organizer, get all the materials, all the training they need. And then these roles at the bottom are different support roles for that canvas leader. So you're not doing everything all by yourself. You've got a greeter that can, get people as they come in the door, help them get set up with what they need. You've got someone to train them in the basics of canvassing. You've got a comfort captain who's going to make sure everybody gets a bottle of water, everybody gets a granola bar, etc. These are not all things you have to think of yourself. So if you're going to be a canvas leader, strongly encourage you, think about who you can ask to take on these roles. Friends of yours, family, anybody that you think would be a good ally, a good partner. There's a little more information about these roles here. We've already described them, and so in the interest of time, I'm just going to keep moving, but you can talk to your campaign organizer about more details and getting copies of these role descriptions. So another thing to know is that we're going to do a couple of different passes during Get Out the Vote. So typically 2, which means we're going to try to hit the same doors, first on Saturday or Sunday, and then we're going to go back Monday and Tuesday. So the idea there is to really thoroughly get to each of these regions. If we didn't catch folks at home the first time, let's try to catch them the second time around. If somebody said they were going to vote on Saturday, let's go back and make sure they did on Tuesday. And then reporting is super important. As a canvas leader, you need to make sure that you're giving up information to your campaign organizer or your Get Out the Vote organizer, and they're passing it up the chain to the deputy state director. That's my job, and then up to our state director, Alexis Kurtz. Folks, we're back to the map again, just to reemphasize how important it is that we turn North Carolina blue, that we move this country in a progressive direction. I want to thank you so much for being here today, and let's get out there and win this thing. I want to encourage you to go and sign up to be part of the Get Out the Vote operation. If you reach out to your campaign organizer, that's a great way to do it, but you can also always go to moveon.org/win and sign up there to be a part of this and to be a part of our great movement. Thank you so much, and have a great day.